Hey everybody, it's Scott from WiseManTrek. The upcoming video is about the things on the PCT that scare me or concern me or things of that nature. Just in the effort to be transparent, there are some things that I'm concerned about related to hiking the PCT, so I'm going to share those in this video. So I hope you enjoy it. I will talk to you soon. All right, so I thought I might talk a little bit about what scares me about the Pacific Crest Trail, and I wasn't even quite sure I wanted to do this little segment, but I think in the interest of transparency and honesty, I think I should talk about the things that scare me about this trail. A couple of them might surprise you a little bit, but maybe not, I don't know. But I think the first thing that scares me about the trail is weather extremes. I'm okay with the heat. I can adjust for the heat. I can make sure that I have plenty of water and electrolytes. I'm carrying some shade with me in the form of an umbrella and a nice hat, some cool clothes. I'm not really worried about the heat. The cold does bother me a little bit, and what I've packed in my backpack probably reflects that. They say you pack your fears in your backpack. So I probably over-prepared for cold weather, but I don't know. I guess I'd rather be a little bit over-prepared than under-prepared. But that's easy to say at this point. I might change my mind after I've carried some extra cold weather gear for a couple 100 miles. And realize that my fear isn't really well-founded, so not quite sure. But anyway, so weather extremes kind of have me worried a little bit. Another thing that scares me is this YouTube thing. I'm not scared about the process or the actual, film editing or posting or any of the technical aspects, although I'm a little bit unsure about some of that stuff still. It doesn't scare me. I think what scares me about the YouTube experience is that there's probably going to be quite a few people that I know and that who know me maybe on a more casual basis. Like, for example, people at work. A lot of terrific people at work I see every day and spend hours with talking about work things. But I don't share much about my personal life. I don't really hear too much about other people's personal lives. There's a couple of exceptions, but generally speaking, that's the truth. But I don't know how I can do a daily sort of film about my experience on the Pacific Crest Trail without sharing more about myself than I would ever think of doing at work. So I'm a little bit apprehensive or scared about revealing myself to a bunch of people who I know casually, and they may end up knowing way more about me than they care to know, but certainly way more about me than I know about them, which I guess is okay with strangers, but these are people that I know casually. And when I return from the trail and get back to regular life, I'll be working with these people again. And if I've shared my stinky hiker stories and shown my gross, dirty, blistered feet on camera, talked about being scared at night with the sound of animals in the dark, my fear of mountain lions or bears, and then I run into them and those things cross their mind, and again, they know way more about me than I know about them, that's kind of off-putting. So I'm a little bit scared about that, but I don't know how to manage that other than, you know, it is what it is, and we'll just see how things shake out. The people I work with are good people, so I know that the vast majority won't hold things against me if I let the F-bomb fly, or if I, you know, talk about my personal life, maybe even a bit too much. Boy, this is so beautiful. The wind is in my face across this lake, this frozen lake, and it is, feels good. It's a warm February 2nd day, and this is just an incredible view. This is the opposite side of the island than I showed you earlier. There's a little bit of open water over on the leeward side of the island today. I think that's the side opposite the windward side, which is where the wind hits. But this is just gorgeous. I'm surprised you can't see my truck from here. I think I'm just a little bit away from that building across the way. I'm a little bit off to the right there, but where my truck is at. But this is just so gorgeous, and this cool breeze across this lake feels so good. So I was talking about things that scare me, and I think the next couple of things are probably not scare me as much as just worry me or are a concern. So talk about that, but I mentioned a couple times that I've got some weight to lose, and I'm pretty sure the hike will do it, but one of the things that worry me related to my excess weight at this time is snoring. I do snore. My routine at home has me using a CPAP machine so that I don't snore and I don't suffer from apnea at home. I get a good night's sleep. I wake up rested and all is good. But I can't take a CPAP machine on the trail, so I'm a little worried about that. I know there have been plenty of people who've talked about being frustrated at people on trail who snore, and I get it. I really do. If you're had a long day hiking and you pull into camp, you set up your tent next to some other tents, and you jump in your sleeping bag to get warm, just about ready to doze off to sleep, and some guy next to you in the tent next door starts sawing logs loud. I can imagine that that could be a bit frustrating, and maybe not even preventable with earplugs and things like that. So I get that frustration. So I'm worried about people and their reaction to snoring. So I've got a couple of ways I think that I will try to combat that issue. I'm going to carry some earplugs, offer earplugs to anyone around me who wants them. But I'm also going to try and camp at a distance from other folks, which, you know, has impact socially. But in the interest of keeping folks happy and sleeping at night, I'll probably try and camp a little bit away from other folks. And then lastly, although I won't have a CPAP machine, I did invest in a device that I can wear in my mouth that seems to work pretty well, keeping me from snoring. It doesn't need batteries, it's not a powered thing, so I can take it with me and wear it. It hasn't proved to be the most comfortable thing, but it does keep me from snoring. So I've not been able to wear it through the whole night so far, but I have been able to fall asleep with it. I've slept for several hours, woken up, taken it out, and then switched to my CPAP machine at home. So I'm hoping that I might be able to wear it for a few hours while folks are getting to sleep. And then perhaps, don't know, but perhaps taking it out. And, you know, if I snore, I snore. But again, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully, maybe I can get to being able to use it through the whole night. So that's the hope. So anyway, that's a little bit of concern, is the snoring. I think the last thing I'll talk about in terms of what scares or concerns me about the PCT is kind of the social part. There's a couple of people at work I joke with occasionally about not being the most social of people, even though I kind of have a relationship building management style. Not the most social. And I think that's kind of exacerbated a little bit by the fact that most of the people I work with on a day-to-day basis are far younger than I. We get a lot of recent college graduates in the field of child welfare, and they are wonderful people, but sometimes it can be a bit hard to relate. So, you know, outside of that professional relationship, well, even inside a professional relationship, it's sometimes hard to understand that youthful perspective that a lot of our young folks have. And all honesty, I'm sure it's sometimes hard for them to understand the perspective of someone who's a bit more mature or long in the tooth, as they say. But I know that there's a great deal of people who hike the trail that are about that recent college grad age, maybe even in fact between graduation and job, they decide to do the PCT. Definitely not to say there aren't some older people on trail. There's going to be people I run into older than me, people who've long retired. So I'm sure there'll be people that I can talk to and relate to, might even become part of my tramily or my trail family, which tend to develop along the trail. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, just one of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about. So I think that's it. Meanwhile, continue to hike. I've probably got maybe 3 miles under my belt right now. Feeling pretty good, but just gonna keep going on. As you can see, there's some melting snow on this trail, which makes it a little bit slippery on some of the downhills. But right now I'm on a pretty flat section. Even the hills on this trail aren't hills. They're more like gentle slopes. But anyway, all right, a little more later. Question is, would I use this water source if I came across this on the PCT? I'd say, hell yeah. That water is flowing through this side of this little bridge, this little footbridge. On the other side, it looks a little bit stagnant, but it's not. It is flowing. And the water looks pretty doggone clear. Yes, I'd filter me up some of that water and drink that in a heartbeat. No doubt about it. So, just about finished my hike here. Got about, I don't know, 20 yards left to go. I think I can manage. But what a good hike. What a gorgeous day. Unbelievable for February 2nd. Just beautiful. Ran into a few other hikers on the trail. Everybody was just remarking about how gorgeous the weather was. So pretty incredible, I'd say. Anyway, fun day. Nice training hike. Just makes me crave the start at Campo even more. Everybody have a great day. Go Chiefs.